We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
I'm just not a very emotional woman at all.
No, you think much more like a dude than Gavin Newsom thinks like
Without
a dude.
question, he is more feminine than I am.
1,000%.
And I am...
Candace Owens leans forward with that trademark smirk, eyes locked on the camera like she's spotting her target with perfect aim. She looks ready to send a politician straight into early retirement with nothing but her voice and a fearless stare. And her target, Gavin Newsom, the man running California as if it's his own wild TikTok challenge gone terribly wrong, is about to feel the heat. You won't believe the bomb she drops, the sharp shade she fires, and the way she makes him look like a school kid who just lost his lunch money on the playground. This goes way beyond politics now. It's comedy wrapped in cold, undeniable reality.
Always been that way, like the emotional arguments and all that stuff. Just like, I just want logic. Tell me what the rational thing is, and I'll make a decision, which is why I was very no masks, no this for the kids, not vaccinating the kids, leave the schools open, you know, just much more logical. I'm not fear-based in anything that I do. I think fear is an awful driver of decision.
Before we go further, tap that like button and hit subscribe. You do not want to miss what comes next. California has always been sold as a glamour-filled Hollywood fantasy, with blazing sunsets, endless beaches, rolling wine country, and movie stars waving from shiny convertibles. But somewhere between the red carpets and the constant smog alerts, that dream twisted into a real-time dystopian movie directed by none other than Gavin Newsom himself. And just when he thought no one would dare challenge his slick hair and dramatic hand gestures, Candace Owens steps in, armed with facts sharp enough to slice through his designer suits. With that steady grin, she's ready to flip his entire script upside down.
Always yields to completely irrational decision making when you're doing things out of any breath of emotion. And so that is sort of why I think that, you know, a lot of women that are left-leaning find me to be quite distasteful, because how could I not be neurotic and crazy and emotional and upset by the question, so upset by the question that I don't even consider the answer.
The moment Candace locks eyes on Newsom, it stops being a debate and turns into a full-on demolition derby. He shows up in his shiny taxpayer-funded eco bumper car, acting like he's ready for a friendly match, but she arrives driving a monster truck covered in spikes. The outcome is exactly what you're imagining, tire tracks stamped right across his carefully polished public image.
Nobody wants President Newsom either. Nobody believes in that guy. That guy's a f***ing con man. Everything he did in California, from trying to mandate vaccines for kids to being caught public without a mask and lying about the fact that he was outdoors. Nobody believes in that guy. He's just a politician. Just a stone cold, narrative-driven politician. Nobody thinks he's a real human. Whether you like Trump or not, whether you think he's corrupt or not, that's a human being. You know what that guy is. Same thing with RFK Jr. Whether you believe that he's correct about vaccines or whether you believe his policies would be effective, and you know that's a human being. With Newsom, you got like this construct, this cardboard cutout of a person. I don't think people want that, but they might want it more than they want President Trump.
Let's be honest, Newsom has mastered the art of looking important, while California collapses behind him like a sandcastle washed away by the tide. He strolls into press conferences with the confidence of a man convinced he's auditioning for president, or maybe Ken in the next Barbie sequel. Meanwhile, residents are tripping over sidewalk tent cities, dodging chaos from constant smashing grabs at Walgreens, and paying gas prices so outrageous they might as well saddle up a horse instead.
Gavin ponders why Dems lost.
We lost. We lost the popular vote, and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. But
Kennedy, I think the answer is yes. Was
it because of Israel? Yes. Interest rates? Yes. Too woke? Yes. It's like every bad policy that trickled up to the White House during the Biden administration started in California. That state is responsible for the worst politicians in modern history. And he is at the top of the list, and there are some ignoramuses on that list.
And Candace, She isn't here to audition for anything. She's here to drag Gavin's resume through the mud, like a toddler splashing juice all over the living room. The record already screams on its own. Billions spent to fix homelessness. Yet California now looks more like a massive outdoor camping expo than the Golden State he keeps bragging about. Newsom's excuse? That's complicated. Of course it is, especially when his idea of action is tossing taxpayer money at endless consultants and committees instead of actually helping the people sleeping on the sidewalks.
People their houses have been burned, all their childhood memorabilia, all the stuff for their kids, the photos, the fucking everything they have is gone. All heirlooms, you know, their mother's wedding ring, that kind of shit. Everything's burnt to the ground. And this guy's like standing in front of all this stuff, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's talking about land use.
The development plan.
Los Angeles sidewalks have basically turned into permanent Airbnb listings without bathrooms, and San Francisco now offers unofficial tours of its busiest open-air drug markets. While Candace zeroes in on this chaos and says what everyone is whispering, California isn't solving homelessness, it's franchising it, exporting problems like a strange subscription service where paying $29.99 in state taxes practically earns you an encampment on the corner of Main Street and Sadness Avenue. And then comes crime, because the state where dreams were once chased now lets people steal up to $9 to $49 of merchandise without consequences, turning stores into mini Fort Knox outposts with toothpaste behind plastic shields as thieves treat Target like an all-you-can-grab buffet. And Candace doesn't even need to exaggerate when the footage shows people strolling out with TVs under their arms like it's Costco on free sample day. Meanwhile, Newsom keeps smiling as if crime stats are jealous numbers trying to ruin his Instagram feed, calling it reimagining justice, a polished phrase that really means letting criminals reimagine your living room as their new pawn shop inventory. And Candace calls it exactly what it is: legalized looting dressed up with a whiff of progressive perfume.
The guy who thinks he's going to run for president when, you know, so much of the state is absolutely unlivable. And so every project that he's championed, he's now trying to demonize conveniently. And people are not that dumb. Like, people have been through it in his state. They are sick of him. They want him to leave. And maybe that's why so many people around him are like, you should totally run for president. So he gets out of the state.
Yes. Move away.
California is tired of bleeding, and residents are rethinking everything as people flee faster than extras running from a canceled TV pilot, with the state shrinking while Texas and Florida keep growing. And not just because of barbecue or theme parks, but because families are exhausted from paying luxury level rent just for the privilege of stepping over needles on the way to their cars, while companies bolt like it's the last helicopter out of Saigon, and Newsom smiles as if everything is wonderful, like a waiter proudly serving rat stew with a parsley garnish. Candace doesn't just report the exodus, she turns it into a punchline, saying California's population decline now doubles as the world's most expensive U-Haul commercial, because who needs billboards when the governor himself is the biggest reason people are packing up and heading east? The irony is that half the people leaving are liberals who voted for the policies that wrecked their state and are now carrying that same recipe for disaster to Arizona, Texas, and Tennessee. But what truly fires Candace up is Newsom's attitude. He doesn't see any of this as failure. He treats it like a resume, strutting around as if California is his proof of concept for America's future, like applying to NASA and handing in a paper airplane that bursts into flames on launch.
Has made Gavin Newsom suddenly vulnerable to being recalled. It looked like Gavin Newsom was going to kind of cruise to a victory here and avoid the recall, but COVID might be changing things a little bit.
Well, part of the reason I wrote the column was I am having a bit of a change of heart, and part of it is because last time I was on Glenn Beck's show with you, Glenn asked me, and I said that I didn't think that the recall was going to win, and I don't think that that's necessarily my position today. To be clear, I'm not betting that Gavin Newsom is going to lose. That would be just too good. The world doesn't seem to work that way.
Candace drives the point home by saying Gavin Newsom isn't actually governing California. He's auditioning for the White House, with every speech, staged photo op, and smug grin serving as part of a campaign he pretends doesn't exist, even while his state runs out of water and power as he keeps slicking back his hair and finding new ways to blame blame Texas for every problem. This is where Candace turns California into Exhibit A, laying out a detailed warning for the entire country with sky-high taxes, crumbling infrastructure, exploding homelessness, and green energy illusions that still rely on fossil fuels just to keep the lights on, arguing bluntly that California is what happens when style outruns substance and when speeches replace real solutions. Meanwhile, Newsom keeps acting like America's cool uncle, throwing out polished lines with the smug smile of someone who just got complimented on his watch. And Candace tears into it by reminding everyone that if charm alone could fix potholes, California's streets would be paved in gold by now. She roasts him with sharp humor and pointed critique, flipping his words effortlessly. When he says progress, she counters with regress. When he promises equity, she sees excuses. When he calls California a model, she clips it instantly as the before photo in a bankruptcy ad, proving that the slicker his words get, the sharper her comebacks become.
Well, in a kind of reptilian way. I mean, charming in the sense that his whole life is devoted to winning people over.
Yes, yeah.
Kind of like Bill Clinton was, and I think he's good at it. But I also think, someone said to me the other day, Newsom could pass a lie detector test on saying anything. Like, there's a coldness inside that
he's
allows
a sociopath. I think
That's
he's
kind of
a snake oil salesman. I think he's a liar, and I think that he destroyed the state of California. Full stop. I've got no love for Gavin Newsom.
The audience can't look away because this isn't just politics. It's a full spectacle, with Newsom bringing Hollywood gloss while Candace shows up in steel-toed boots, turning their clash into something closer to a reality show where one contestant keeps bragging about future projects while the other reminds everyone that his current project is already burning to the ground. But beneath the comedy, the stakes are painfully real, as Candace warns that California isn't some isolated island of dysfunction, but a place whose policies spread like glitter, unwanted, impossible to clean, and always appearing where no one wants it. From environmental mandates to soft on crime laws to bloated welfare programs, what starts in California often travels across the country, and Candace shouts loud and clear that America does not need a sequel to this chaos. The clash becomes a symbol of two competing futures, one shaped by Newsom's vision of progressive government wrapped in glossy social justice aesthetics, and the other shaped by Candace's push for accountability, personal responsibility, and policies that don't treat crime like a quirky lifestyle choice. This isn't just a battle of words. It's a clash of worldviews, with Candace acting like a stand-up comedian armed with footnotes, while Newsom performs like a motivational speaker trapped in an endless self-help loop as she points to real problems backed by evidence, while he works on drafting the trailer for Gavin 2028, The Hair Strikes Back.
For a little over a week now, California Governor Gavin Newsom has been posting in the style of President Donald Trump. And he's getting a lot of admiration for it. So he's basically engaging in this trolling campaign, and he's been very successful with it on X. Many of those posts have actually racked up tens of thousands of likes. And look, it does play well in the paradigm of left versus right. When you see politics as team sports and nothing more than tribal politics.
And just when you think she's finished, Candace twists the knife, questioning whether the man leading a state losing people, money, and sanity could really be the Democratic Party's secret weapon, laughing at the very idea, because if California is the blueprint, then America's future under Gavin Newsom looks less like the Golden State and more like a blooper reel. By the end, she isn't just calling him out, she's tearing down the entire illusion, showing that Newsom's leadership isn't a shining example, but a cautionary tale of how a state with endless resources, stunning beauty, and huge economic power somehow turned itself into a national punchline, and she's making sure the rest of the country hears the joke before it's too late. The question hangs in the air like smoke from a slow burning fire. Will America fall for the polished packaging and perfectly styled hair, or will it notice the dumpster fire smoldering right behind him? Candace Owens makes her case clearly. California under Gavin Newsom isn't a dream, it's a nightmare trying to sell itself as a glossy brochure. And the irony is that Newsom steps into every photo op like the return of Camelot, waiting for the presidential stage lights to hit his hair at the perfect angle.
Listen to so many of my colleagues and members of the media say that these are mostly peaceful protests. It's like saying that Harvey Weinstein is mostly a feminist. because he didn't rape every woman who came into his office. He only raped some of them. Number 3, in terms of Governor Newsom, his record shows this. He's the dictionary definition of weenie.
Behind Newsom's glossy photo ops, the reality looks less like a shining city on a hill and more like a burning dumpster on Venice Beach. Because yes, the state's GDP is massive, but so are the debts, the suffocating regulations, and the crowds of people sleeping in tents just a block away from coffee shops, charging $9 for a latte. Candace doesn't just poke holes in this picture, she swings a sledgehammer pointing to a state where Hollywood stars need private security just to pick up their mail, where moms carry pepper spray to buy groceries, and where small businesses treat theft like a normal business expense, all while Newsom insists California is leading the nation. Sure, leading right off a cliff and dragging along anyone who follows. The homelessness crisis alone reads like an ongoing parody, with billions spent, endless promises, and new programs every year with names that sound like they were created at a yoga retreat, yet the streets stay filled with tents, needles, and suffering. Candace doesn't just criticize, she skewers it, comparing California's solutions to sprinkling glitter on a landfill. It may sparkle for a moment, but the stench remains unbearable. And here's the kicker. Newsom pretends all of this is progress, flashing charts and statistics with the grin of a game show host revealing the wrong prize, claiming California's plan is working, while anyone with functioning eyes can see it looks more like a never-ending camping convention nobody ever asked for.
Any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, what can I say to them? Not big admirer of either. I don't like them either.
Then comes the crime wave, because under Newsom's so-called visionary policies, shoplifting in California has turned into a low-stakes hobby, where if your old side hustle was flipping sneakers, you can now skip the wholesaler and grab them straight off the store shelf thanks to Proposition 47. Candace calls it what it is, a government-approved shopping spree where criminals aren't punished but practically rewarded, like a strange loyalty program where the perks are free merchandise and a pat on the back for reimagining justice. Businesses are shutting down faster than Newsom can rehearse his next campaign speech, and even Walgreens, a store that sells Band-Aids and Advil, has been forced to lock up deodorant like it's gold, while toothpaste hides behind plastic shields as if it were a luxury item, and maybe, just maybe, the governor's policies aren't working. And then there are the taxes, because California boasts the highest state income tax in the country. And for what? So residents can enjoy crumbling infrastructure and potholes that look more like sinkholes, while Candace mocks the absurdity of paying champagne prices for bargain bin governance, painting a state that charges luxury rates but serves flat soda and stale crackers. The result is a massive exodus that feels less like random migration and more like a coordinated escape plan, with Californians leaving by the thousands, flooding states like Texas and Florida, and U-Haul trucks becoming so scarce they practically qualify as black market items.
Gavin, I moderated, I think you brought it up, I moderated the debate with DeSantis. And I have tried to reason with this man, and he does not listen, ever. Maybe, is this the tipping point for him? Did you get the feeling he really wants to change?
I don't know. I think he wants to be president, Sean, more than anything.
Candace compares California's decline to a bad party where everyone leaves early while the host, Gavin Newsom, stands alone in the kitchen, pouring himself another glass of overpriced wine and insisting the fun isn't over, even though the house is empty. But the real punchline, the cherry on top, is Newsom's ambition, because he truly believes this resume qualifies him for the White House, strutting around as if California's record is something to brag about, as though the rest of America is begging for higher taxes, dirtier streets, and rolling blackouts. And Candace laughs at the absurdity, warning that if California is the model, then America's future under Newsom would look like a cautionary tale written by someone who failed economics, while she also knows how to make the clash personal and entertaining, pointing out that Newsom's entire style revolves around appearances, slick hair, tailored suits, and speeches that sound like they were rehearsed in front of a mirror. Candace takes apart that polished persona like it's her part-time job, painting him as a politician so focused on optics he'd probably schedule a photo shoot during a natural disaster because California could be sliding into the Pacific Ocean and Newsom would still be perfecting his smile in the reflection of the waves. The contrast becomes pure theater, with Newsom speaking in lofty phrases that sound like they were drafted by a PR intern who just discovered a thesaurus, while Candace slices through the fluff with the precision of a roast master. He says, visionary leadership. She hears wishful thinking. He calls California a model. She turns it into the ultimate warning label on America's medicine bottle.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear California's in a state of turmoil. And I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
The more she tears into him, the more his big political dreams start to look like a late-night comedy sketch, because this is supposed to be the Democratic Party's secret weapon, please. And the reality is that he's running a state people are literally running away from. Candace doesn't just point it out, she twists the knife, joking that if this is the left's master plan, Republicans should be sending him flowers for making their campaigns effortless, since nothing says vote for me like a resume full of broken promises, sky-high taxes, and rules that make buying toothpaste feel like you're negotiating for a luxury car. Then she delivers the real punch, framing it as a question for the entire country. Do you want America to look like Gavin Newsom's California, overpriced, unsafe, and collapsing under its own weight, or do you want leadership that actually faces problems and fixes them? It becomes more than a swipe at one governor. It turns into a bright, flashing warning to anyone who believes slick hair and smooth talk can cover up failure. Because Candace versus Gavin isn't just political commentary. It's full theater, satire with teeth, a preview of the brutal battles coming in the next election cycle. One side hides behind polish and polished lines, while the other rips the curtain down with facts, sharp wit, and zero patience for excuses. And when the smoke clears, Newsom doesn't look like a future president. He looks like a walking parody of everything broken in American politics. Don't miss more explosive showdowns like this. Hit like, tap subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss the next round.